channel, so I thought I'd just go live this morning. It's not going to be a long live stream, but what I want to talk about is 5 common reasons that people are spending more time alone. And this came up because when I'm on like YouTube watching different like YouTube channels, or when I've been like just on social media in general, people, there's lots of like, it's not like a movement or anything, but there is a lot of people who are saying things like, you know, what's the point in trusting anyone, and you don't need a partner, and you don't need friends, and you don't need family, and you know, what's the point in going out, or what's the point in being social? And it's like, it's not like it's a movement, but I suppose it is a mindset, isn't it? If someone is deciding to spend like most of their life alone, but also most of their time by themselves, then there's usually like a reason behind it. And these are 5 reasons that people are doing this a lot more. The first one is trust issues or a fear of others. So there's a difference between you know, choosing to, you know, whether you need some alone time, or whether it's, and I'll go through some of the other reasons as well as we talk. But I'd love to hear your comments as well. Feel free to either join on the live stream or to leave your comments afterwards. So if you have a fear of other people, or just trust issues in general, and you don't, you know, that's your mindset, then the likelihood is you are not going to interact with other human beings, whether it's strangers or family or different people, in a positive way, because of your mindset more than anything else. So you're going to have that mentality that, you know, I don't want to go to this like event, or I don't want to be around other people because you know, something might happen to me. So fear, or, you know, just trust issues. I can't trust being around like certain parts of my family. I can't trust being here. So you will then choose, like by default, to spend more time either by yourself, because you feel that you can trust yourself, or just more time avoiding like going into like those social engagements and things like that. And the thing with that is, it's similar to like with anxiety, social anxiety and things. If you have a belief about something, then, and you don't test that belief by like going the opposite end. So if your feeling is that people are fearful, or if I go out, I'm gonna so it's gonna happen bad because everyone's out to get me, or because the world is a dangerous place. If you then hold on to that belief, but you never test it, so you never go out, or you never like see if there are like nice people out there, then it's almost like you're gonna prove yourself right. But you're only proving yourself right because you're not testing it. You're not going out there and like jumping in and seeing what happens. So that's like one reason, I think. And it also can just feel comfortable, can't it? If you are, so for me, which is the second one, if you work from home a lot, or if you do a role which involves you, that it's like an, not, what's it called, an individual role. So as a counsellor, there's a lot of time sitting, so it's, you work from home. There's a lot of time where it's just you and your client, so really it is a job which is just involves you. I could use that to say that that's the reason that, you know, when I'm not working, or where I'm not at home, where I then don't interact with other people, because I could say, well, you know, I'm used to like working by myself, but I don't personally. Like opportunities that I get then to do things, like, you know, I'll normally try and arrange things with other people. I definitely like being around other people, socially, even strangers. Like, to me, like crowds is not an issue or nothing like that. So I think it's about asking yourself, what's the reason deep down? What is it that is like preventing you from, you know, interacting with people more? And that interaction can be on different levels, or in different ways, because you can still interact with people, I suppose. I'm not going to say you can interact over the phone because you can't, but yeah, there's you know, there's the, as I've said it, there's, thanks for joining whoever's joining. There is, it's like it's not a movement, but it's just something I've been more aware of. There's more conversations where people, there was a lady yesterday, in fact, it was on YouTube, and she put, you know, that's one of the other things that's on here. She said, I'm an introvert, she said, so I spend 99% of my time on my own. I choose to. And then there was like 56 comments, and everyone was just going with questions back to her and this sort of thing. Is it because you don't trust people? And is it? And she had valid reasons, and she was saying that's how she wants to live her life. And then people were like saying, well, you're not really existing and stuff. But it's always useful to just figure out what is it that is causing me to kind of not isolate yourself, if you like, but to not really interact with other people or spend most of your time alone. So that's coming on to the third one, which is mental health issues. So it could be around anxiety and depression. So someone with depression will definitely withdraw a lot of times from other people, and the reason they're withdrawing is not because of fear of other people, which was the first one. It's more of how they feel about themselves. So if you're depressed or anxious, you're always going to be feeling the worst about yourself. So the idea then of you being around other people is more anxiety inducing, because you're going to think, well, I'm not going to be my best self. I'm going to be sad. They're going to view me like in this way. I'm going to be a burden. So that's why people withdraw, like sometimes if they're in those situations. And that's the worst thing you can do, because you're actually going against what, like, you know, theories say you should do. Because if you're depressed and then you keep withdrawing, and then you're more depressed, so then you spend more time on your own with those negative thoughts and things, then that's not going to like lift you out of your depression. Whereas say if you're depressed and you decide to go for a walk in the park, or you decide to like go to the family party, or you decide to meet up with your friend and go for a coffee, you'll still probably feel depressed and a bit sad. You're not going to all of a sudden not feel sad or depressed because you go for a coffee. But the time you then interact with that person, the time you're out there in nature going for those walks, it's like a different environment, but also it means you're engaging. Anything you do in life which stops you from engaging with other people and stops you from engaging with anything means that it's just not going to give you as much of a fulfilling experience than when you are engaging, because that's what helps you to feel alive as a person. Now that's just my opinion. I'm not saying everyone is the same. It's like some people don't want to travel. Now they've got their reasons. They might say, I don't want to be on a plane. I feel too enclosed. I don't want to go to other countries and experience what they've got to offer. And that's everyone's personal view. No one should say to someone, oh, get out and, you know, go to different countries or get out and experience the world. It's not someone's like right to say that to another person. But if someone gives a list of reasons why doing some things like maybe taking short breaks or going to parks for walks, or we've backed up with theory and evidence to say that how that can enhance or fulfill someone's life, then you can possibly consider it. So yeah, it's when you're anxious or depressed, you will sometimes not want to be around other people, so it's easier to spend time alone, because then you don't have to like talk to anyone, then you don't have to explain yourself, then you don't have to maybe even get up and get dressed. You can stay in bed if you want. You don't have to think about what people are thinking about you. So it is more to do with the anxiety and the depression that is keeping you in that way. The fourth one, and there's only two more now, is you normalize it. So you say, and you can become institutionalized. So all that really means is if someone says enough times, what do I need people for anyway? Or people can't be trusted, or I'm happy being alone. When I worked on BetterHelp, I'm not on there anymore. There was a few people actually that was kind of had that sort of mindset, and it's nothing wrong with it. What we would do though is we would explore that. So someone might say, I haven't been out, let's say, for 3 days, or I haven't been out for 4 days. It wasn't to do with depression. It was, but there's nothing out there. I don't want to go out there because I don't want to spend money. I don't want to go outside because I don't really need fresh air. I don't want to go out because what's the point of me going out? I don't need anything out there. I don't want to go out because there's no one out there for me, as in like, you know, what's the point in interacting with people? And I think if you convince yourself, or you have those beliefs and that's what you feel, it's not someone else's job to convince you otherwise. It's more looking at where are those beliefs and mindset coming from. Is it that you're saying that because you really underneath it is fear of like interacting with people, or is that really how you feel? But if that's really how you feel, when you would therefore be happy in that mindset, and if you're not happy, that's the reason you would be speaking to a counsellor, because if you wouldn't need to speak to a counsellor if that's your lifestyle and that's your belief and your mindset, and that's how you want to live, then there wouldn't be an issue. So what you really are trying to figure out for yourself as a person is this how I want to live really, or is this what I've told myself because it's almost giving permission for me to sort of live that way? And that's kind of with most things really. It's like if people say, I don't need money, I'm fine how I am. You know, as long as I can pay my bills, I don't need money for any reason. Are you saying that because there's a fear that you are not going to achieve money? Are you saying that because the things that you really want you think are beyond you? Or do you actually believe that? Are you happy? And if you're happy and you believe that, then you don't need to change that. But if you're just saying it because you've used that mindset as a way of, as a protection or a defense thing, you know, I don't need to be around people because people don't have anything for me. But really there's a fear of like being around people, and that's what's happening deep down. So it's sometimes trying to get the feeling out of it. Why do I feel this way? And it's fine if I do feel this way, but is it also serving me? That's another one. And the final thing is personality. So we've talked about the anxiety and depression. That informs, you know, people sometimes withdrawing from other people and spending time alone. Trust issues can sometimes do that, or a fear, so that's the emotion side of it. Being institutionalized, so that's the beliefs and the mindset, you know, of saying, I've done this. If someone has spent 15 years, I don't know, 10 years, even a year, lockdown is a good example, isn't it? Or when pandemic was happening. Because for me, during the pandemic, when the minute they said you could go out for an hour, I was walking 8 miles, 10 miles. I mean, I was interacting with people. I still had my mask on and stuff, and I was walking. Luckily, the weather was good during at least 2020. I remember that because I was getting out and about. I mean, I don't even walk anywhere. I drive everywhere. But because of like the idea of being enclosed and then giving that opportunity to go out for an hour every day, I definitely was going out more. I'd say that I was probably interacting more during 2020, 2021 than before, because it was like you were pushed to, because you were sort of trapped in your house all the time. Now for lots of people, the opposite would have been true, because if they're watching the news all the time, but also there was the genuine fear there, many people were not leaving the house, everything was being delivered to them, you know, they were not. So if you were living in that way for a period of time, the 2 years, 2020, 2021, when the lockdown was lifted or when everything happened, there's many people still, even though we're in 2024, that are still living in that similar way, not completely. So if you think about it, that has then become normalised, because people are reflecting and saying, well, I managed to do it for those 2 years or for that year. I don't need any more now to change, like go back to how I was. So there is a lot of people where it's the aftermath. So that's where the whole like normalization comes in. This is normal to do this, and there's nothing wrong with that either. It's not about saying it's abnormal if you do something differently. It's more of looking at where are the roots. Are the roots of your behavior or the roots of what's happening to do with like what was happening in the pandemic, or is it just that this is the way you want to live now? And the final one is that you're an introvert. So that is personality. So an introverted personality or a shy person will possibly, not always, but may choose to like spend more time alone, because it's just, that's part of their personality. So that's a completely different thing too, because all of these situations are still choice, but there's a reason behind them all. Because as human beings, we are social beings, and what that means is that the minute you're born, you want to be around, well, not when you're a baby, but toddlers will go up to strangers, do you know what I mean, and just be, well, they want interaction, they want attention. Even as adults, we want attention, we want to, you know, boring conversations about the weather with strangers, you know, we want to be close to people, we want connection. So if you are not experiencing that, for any of these reasons or for other reasons, sometimes mobility, I forgot to put that in there, maybe you've got an illness and it's to do with mobility, you can't get out and about, or you can't be around people, maybe through your illness, because maybe you'll contract something. There are lots of reasons, but I suppose it's thinking about the reason, you know, and if it is fear or trust issues, or if it is depression or anxiety, if it is because, you know, it's just been this way for so long that it's just scary to do anything different, if it is because you're an introvert, all of those things and more, mobility, can all be adapted if you feel like, you know, I don't want to be like this anymore. It's not even be like this, because it's not like, it's still a choice. But what I would say is, so for me, and I'm not talking about like just talking about my experience, but my feeling about this is that balance is always key sometimes in life. Like, I'll go on short breaks by myself and I'm fine with that, but if someone came along, I'd do that. Like, I will reach out to people and it'll be like, let's do something. Like this weekend I'm going to spend time with my niece, we're going to the cinema. Other times it might be like, on Monday I'm going to see my other niece and her son, because it's his birthday, so we'll do stuff, little things like that. But I can also have periods of time where I'm so busy working, or where I'm just thinking, do you know what, I'm tired. I don't want to. But it's not, if I had a week of activities, I'd be fine, like activity after activity with different people, different things. I would never say like, oh, my diary is too full. But if I had a whole week of not seeing anyone, then that wouldn't feel natural or normal to me. So that's where, like, as we've saying, you've got to think, are you living in a certain way because it's natural, because you're an introvert and that's fine to you? Is it because of other reasons? Is it because that you actively know that you're pulling back because, you know, you feel anxious and the depression? Is it because you're at work? They're not excuses or reasons. They're just what it is. They're the truth about the situation. So again, this video is just really looking at that because I just think it's interesting. And when you see, as I've said on social media, the different things that people are saying, it's interesting because then when you're looking at those conversations, there's a variety of reasons. But I think for some people deep down, it's like deeper than maybe what they're saying. So it could be like a deep-rooted fear of people, but they might say, well, people, there's no, what do I want to be around people for? It could be that it's anxiety, but they might not say that. They might just say, well, all my shopping gets delivered, so I don't need to go out and get fresh air. It might be that because, as I've said, lockdown, that's a massive one, or that, you know, the longer you spend not around people, the harder it is. But do you know what? Everyone's human. And I think the other thing is, you know, people appreciate being around you. What I know is that every time I'm sitting with my sisters or my family or going out doing things with friends, even though it might not be like all the time, when I do it, I know that they appreciate me taking the time to do it. I appreciate it happening. It's just good. So test yourself, push yourself, take a risk, take a chance. Or if you're happy with like how things are and you don't want to make any changes, then don't, because it's your life and it's your decision. So I'm not here to say to people what they should or shouldn't do. Thank you to everyone that joined on this live stream. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the likes, and also leave your comments, sharing the discussion. I think some of these conversations are really interesting to have, and I post my normal recorded videos once a week, once or twice a week, and I will probably do live streams. Maybe I'll try and do them once a month or something if I can find the time to do that. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.